We've still got helpers, we can do helpers, that's not a problem. And you can, it is possible, if you mess, okay, let's do this. If you mess with setting up a course, no, not that. Not that. If you mess here, so this is set to 30 foot because this is 30 foot wide. Now if I go and look on the baler's like 3.5 foot wide. But if I say, well, I'm following a 9.5 foot mower around, I can set the auto width to 9.5 feet. And so long as I position it in the right place to start, it will then bale all the things properly, mostly. But anyway, it's workable. You just have to be a bit more manual about it. Correct is 82% complete. Good. I was actually looking at the balers, not counting up. I think he was doing an end of row turnaround. I also managed to get another railroader out yesterday. I actually streamed it on Thursday, which was the deliver everything to Alaka for the first time. I'm trying to think what's the next thing I'm going to do on railroader on that playthrough. I need to get some bigger locomotives because the locomotives I have are starting to get to the struggle point of we're getting so much delivered that they can't cope with the weight of traffic sometimes. But that first trip down to Alaka with, what was it? With the G26 was a struggle, surprisingly enough. I wasn't prepared for that. We had our first snow, and it snowed twice. Nighttime on Wednesday night to Thursday morning, and nighttime on Thursday night to Friday morning. We're going to have snow on Friday after Thanksgiving. I think the weather's telling us we get snow for the next 2 or 3 Fridays, so yay. Okay, we'll collect on that one. Now we have 15, 20, 27 and 29. 15, 20, 27 and 29. You know what, let's go back to that and turn the details on, because the nice thing about having details on is it shows you pretty pictures. Okay, 20, 15 and 29. Okay, so 15's the first one. I can come out of here, just run over there. Okay, back. Yeah, we're not, it's not that bad around here yet. Oops. Oh, go away. Yep. But I hear they're having a lot of snow in England now, which is rather concerning because the Prime Minister decided to take away the heating allowance, the fuel allowance for old people for winter. So now we're already seeing stories of old people scared to turn their heating on because they won't be able to afford the heating bills because the cost of heating fuel has gone up so much. Where's the cut through? Up there. Okay. So yeah, that's not a good thing. At least my grandmother died this year, so she's not freezing to death because she can't afford to pay her electric bill. I mean, seriously, the electric prices, as far as I'm aware, have gone up quite severely in the UK. And normally there is a heating fuel allowance that they give to pensioners so they can pay for the increased costs when it gets cold. And the new Labour Party just basically said, yeah, we don't want to pay for them. They voted for the other side, so we don't want to. We don't want them to live. Basically, is how that's working out. They're also doing a similar thing to farmers, which also kind of depressing for those people who watch Clarkson's Farm. You can. He's been out in London protesting with farmers because basically what's happened is the Labour government has said, oh, farmers are all millionaires. They own millions of dollars of land and tractors and cows and sheep, and their assets total multiple millions of pounds. And when they die, they need to pay 20% inheritance tax on that. Well, farmers don't have cash. They have assets which earn them money. And the problem there is that the income from farmers, if you've watched Clarkson's Farm, he made what, $400 in the first year, or maybe it was $40 in the first year. They don't have a lot of cash. If you add up all of their assets, typically they make 0.5% per year on their assets. So if someone owns $3 million or £3 million of land and animals and equipment, they are making 0.5% on that. So 1% is 30,000. They're making £15,000 a year income after they've bought all their seed and their fertilizer and everything else. And seed, fertilizer, and diesel is going up in price by leaps and bounds. It's way beyond inflation. You've got the grocery stores, the big grocery stores are controlling how much they're willing to pay a farmer for the crops they produce. So, as I said, a farmer with a $3 million holding may be earning $15,000 a year, which is way below poverty rates. So it's not like, oh, we do it for the money. It's we do it because we've owned this land and we like to feed people. And to then turn around and say, well, you've got to pay 20% of your land or your property value, land, animals and equipment, in taxes when you die before you can hand this over to your kids. Okay, so that's a $600,000 tax bill from someone who makes what is it? $15,000 a year. They can't afford that. So Labour have said, well, we'll give them 10 years to pay it. Okay, so over 10 years they're going to earn £150,000. They still have to feed their families and heat their homes and buy clothes for the kids and all the rest of it. And so they're still going to be spending that money, even if you say, well, that's got to be paid to us as taxes. So the farmers are livid. Jeremy Clarkson was out in London. He had a heart attack last week. But he went out there in spite of the fact his doctor said, you shouldn't be going to London. I'm going anywhere. And he was basically there. Yeah, I can afford it. I'm rich. I'm a celebrity, B, a journalist, and I make money by breathing. But you look at his farm business, he makes pennies on that. You get a bad year, you don't make anything. And for the government to say, yeah, we want, and I think his farm's worth about 4.5 million. So, yeah, that's 900,000. That's almost $1 million in taxes he would have to pay at the end of the year, or when he dies. And his farm doesn't make that money. It's not an ability to pay, but the Labour government, well, they own all those assets, they should just sell some of them. You sell the assets, your income drops. So you've got a $3 million farm and you've got to pay 600,000. Okay, so I've got to sell 20% of my farm. Actually, no, you don't. Because you sell 20% of the farm, you have to pay 40% on that sale. So you've just sold 600,000, you're going to pay 250,000 in taxes on that, so you only ended up with 350. You're 250 short on your inheritance tax, so you're going to have to sell about 33% of your farm. So your $3 million farm is now worth $2 million, and your income is likely to drop from £15,000 a year to £10,000 a year. And then some jerk of an advisor turns around and says, well, we need to punish the farmers because I'm jealous, basically. And anyway, we don't need farmers. I'm guessing he's one of these people who thinks that we don't need farmers because I can just go to the grocery store and buy all the food I need. And it gets there magically. I have no words. So, yeah. I'm hoping if the peasants revolt and overthrow the government, then that particular imbecile is stuck in a room with no food. Because you don't need farmers. It's okay. You just live on air. Yeah. Oh, and he's blocked again. Well, at least that one's done, I think. Should be done. I'm gonna fold it up. Oh, that was the wrong button. I still get mixed up with fold and thing. So let's go there, collect that. Yes. Yeah, we don't need truck drivers. Produce magically appears in the store when you're not looking. Or we can put it all on a train. It's like, is there a train track running to the back of your grocery store that I'm unaware of? Because I don't think that's going to work out for you either. How's our... God, grief, we've still got 44 minutes. Ah, no. Yes. Still 44 minutes of baling going on there. Right. I need to look at the map because we need to get to field 20. Oh, that's up there. So I am going to have to go through there and then there. And then the last two. No, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes. 29 and 27 are there. Okay, I can do that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, is it a product of our education system? I did see a meme this last week which had a picture of Jimmy Carter, and sort of in 1980 I created the Department of Education. At the time, American education was #1 in the world, and since then it has dropped to something like 42. Because we spend all our money on administrators and justifying your job, and very little of it teaching the students. If we actually spent money teaching the students rather than, oh, we need some more administrators or whatever, we'd actually have a highly educated population. Part of the issue, I think, this is getting political, but part of the issue, I think, is, oh, it needs to be equitable. Everybody needs to receive the exactly the same education. Well, some people don't have the intelligence to be rocket scientists. You know, no matter what you do, they will never be a rocket scientist. And so, you know, you then decide, well, because that's the case, we're not going to have any AP courses. We're not going to teach kids the advanced math and the advanced science that will actually keep them interested in class and not stop them being completely disruptive. But, you know, you've got, you know, we can't teach them that because that's not fair, because the less than smart kids are not capable of understanding what we're teaching the people who want to be rocket scientists. Well, the people who want to be rocket scientists, we need them. You know, the country needs rocket scientists to, you know, do the high-tech things, invent the high-tech things. And without inventing the high-tech things, we're not going to have new stuff. And yeah, I think it's misguided. Yeah, you should be aiming to teach kids to the level they're capable of learning. And yeah, I had, back when I was at school, we used to have graded or tiered math. We had kids who just, on the basics of it, if you sat them down with a book and told them to add a list of numbers, yeah, here's 20 questions of 2 numbers in each question, add up the numbers, they would struggle with it. Quite legitimately, they would struggle with it. Give them a dartboard and 3 darts and tell them they're on a score of 501 and they have to make it to 0 and end on a double. They're doing that in their head. And most of the really smart kids, because they're not applying the math in that way, struggle with that, you know, that level of math. But it teaches them math and it keeps them interested. But if you hold back the kids who could be rocket scientists and only teach them, yeah, oh, we can only teach you to add, subtract, multiply and divide. We can't teach you any of the more complicated, mechanics, applied mechanics sorts of stuff, because the less intelligent kids won't understand that. So we can't teach you that either. They get bored. Oh, I've got to add 2 numbers together 20 times for an hour. They do that in their head in 10 seconds, and then they mess around, and then they get classed as unruly. It's, you know, if you're going to teach kids, you need to teach kids at the level they can understand, not hold everybody back, because while some kids can't achieve that level, and we don't, you know, we're in it for equity. You know, when I was a kid, math, you know, all classes were, or university. It wasn't everybody needs an opportunity to go to university. Some of my friends did not want to go to university because they didn't have the smarts to do a university degree. They did have the smarts to do plumbing or car mechanic or stuff like that, things with their hands, and they went to trade schools and learned a trade and earned a load more money than the people who went to university for their first 5 years. And they also learned a whole lot more money than the people who dropped out of school at 16 and got jobs asking if people wanted fries with that. But if you don't have HVAC engineers and car mechanics, you might be a rocket scientist, but when your car breaks down, you got a problem. Unless you want to spend some of your education learning how to make cars go, in addition to all the rocket scientist stuff that you're learning. But yeah, back when I was a kid, if you could prove the academic smarts to do a university degree, the government paid for it. Because the way the government looked at it is, you get a degree, you're going to be productive, you're going to invent stuff, and that's good for everybody in the country. On an individual fairness scale, it might not be entirely fair, but everybody benefits. And if everybody benefits, it's worth the country supporting the cost of doing it. But anyway. That's my rant. And it's coming up on 11 o'clock. I think... How are we doing with the... Oh, he's... Just... Dude. Okay. Why is he driving down there? Dude, you missed a bit. Back here. There's more. It's another one. I'm guessing that row is a side-by-side of a headland plus where the headland merges with an up and down row. But it looks like we get down to here. I'm going to move that one. Okay, that should be a little bit better. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, or we're never going to finish baling before the rain comes. The rain is due 30 minutes, I think.